Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Ringo TV Reactions. What I want to talk about is a series that I am going to pretty much tackle that I don't think nobody has ever done. And it's pretty much going to be on the topic of surviving these spiritual leaders that we have today. Those of you that know me, you know that when I came into the religion of Christianity many years ago, it was through Creflo Ministries. At the same time, there have been many preachers, many pastors that have been some sort of an influence in my walk. And through those years, I can tell you that I really believe that I've been victimized by the religion of Christianity, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because many of you that might be viewing may be a victim of these pastors, these pulpit pimps, in what I would like to call them. And I believe we all have a story. So what I want to talk about is this particular issue here. And it's pretty much titled Surviving T.D. Jakes, How He Nearly Ruined My Life. Spiritual victim tells his story. Now, what you don't know is that T.D. Jakes has been teaching the prosperity gospel for a very long time. Wrote many books, been in many speaking engagements, highly respected amongst the Christian community. He's been on various talk shows. He sat down with presidents. He's been on various talk shows, primarily Oprah. I mean, you name it, he's been invited. And it's interesting because back then, when I was coming up in the game, I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am now. And for many of you, you may be in the same type of situation, or maybe you're still in darkness and don't know the truth. So what I'm hoping is that through this testimony of me sharing my story, I'm hoping that you, as a people, as a community, will come forward if you feel you are victimized by the church, if the church have robbed from you, stolen from you, have led you astray, caused you to doubt God. I think that it's time that we actually talk about it. I really do. So, in case you're new to the broadcast, you don't know who I am, I'm Ringo. You can pretty much look me up on social media. I've been on YouTube since 2006. I've been putting in work to bring awareness about these pulpit pimps, these charlatans, these money grubbers for many years. And when I got on YouTube in 2006, my mission was clear. It was to expose the devil. It was to reveal to the people that these wolves in sheep clothing, in whom we call pastors, preachers, prophets, evangelists, to prove that these guys are not really from God. And when I got in on these YouTube streets, you know, it was a challenge. I dealt with a lot of backlash, a lot of criticism from various people because, again, when you're blinded, right, you will defend these preachers with your life. Even though you live in the projects, even though you got to take a skateboard to work, even though you're literally a paycheck away from being evicted from your house, right, you would still defend these preachers when these preachers don't even care about you. And it really was a very difficult time. And I've opened up many blinded eyes Many. We're talking about possibly millions of people were woken up due to my teachings, my videos, and my lessons on YouTube exposing false teachers and false prophets. Those of you who remember me from back in the day, you remember my classic "what" sample like this.
What?
You remember that, right? So those of you who know me, you know that's my famous "what" sample that I've been using for many years. And there came a time when I'm putting out this information, trying to wake these people up. It's like nobody was really listening. Now, I got a lot of views, I reached a lot of people, I woke up a lot of people, but these false prophets, there's so many of them. We are literally overwhelmed with false teachers today. There are so many false teachers and false prophets. It's difficult to keep up with because there's a new one every day, hustling the people, taking advantage of the simple-minded. And it's my hope that somehow through this series of videos that I'll be doing, you will wake up and you will understand how serious this is. Because I've been attacked, I've been criticized, and there's nothing wrong with being criticized, but when you're speaking the truth, trying to reach people, and they don't listen and they claim that they're following God, it just goes to show that the population is asleep. And what people don't realize is these charlatans, they're not really here to wake us up. They're here to make money. And this is why I have to do this particular series of videos, because it's very important for your learning. I am a spiritual victim of TD Jakes. I can say that. I can admit that because I am. Because back in the days when I was a teenager coming up in the game, and we're talking about many years, we're talking about way back in the day. Because when I got in contact with Creflo Dollar Ministries and became a Christian, we're talking about back in, I would say like 1995, like right around there. And when I got into the religion of Christianity, you know, it's a long story. I shared the testimony already. I may do that throughout the series. But my point is, from watching Creflo Dollar, I began to watch various other ministers. Because one thing you have to understand about Christianity, especially within the TBN broadcast, the prosperity preachers, it's as if though they all work together. And they all preach the same message to keep people in bondage. I didn't know I was in bondage. I thought that I was following God. I thought that I was in the truth, but I was actually deceived. And one particular minister, besides Creflo Dollar, that stood out from the crowd was TD Jakes. I refer to him as TD Snakes because he's a serpent. And once I've learned that all of these guys are in fact false prophets, false teachers, I made it my mission to come on YouTube and expose the devil. I've exposed literally every Christian preacher from, you can say, 1995 all the way up to around 2012. All of those preachers within that time frame, I exposed them all. I'm talking about I made thousands of videos. Those of you that know me, you know this to be true. And then there came a time in my life where I realized that I was getting attacked left and right by Christians. I mean, it was just very difficult. You would think that people would want to know the truth, but to be honest, they just don't want the truth. They would fight me to protect their pastor. I would tell them, look, this is what this pastor is doing. And they would say, no, you're jealous. No, you're just a hater. And I'm like, why would I have to be a hater? I'm trying to warn you to wake you up. I'm trying to show you the abuse that these guys are doing to the people, how they're spiritually abusing people by leading them astray. And they wouldn't listen. Instead, they wrote me off as the devil and made me out to be a problem. And I just said, you know what? Forget it. I'm not gonna waste my time trying to wake people up anymore, because it's like They don't want to listen. I'm going through all of this drama. I'm trying my best to wake them up, but they don't want to hear me. So I just said, you know what? I'm done talking about preachers. And I just kind of let the whole thing go and just said, forget about it. I don't got to. But then I'm seeing the controversy surrounding TD Jakes. I was contacted by a sister who said, Ringo, you got to come out of retirement. You know what I mean? You really got to come out of retirement on this one, because it's like the people need you. You're a powerful voice. Many people remember you for what you've done. Maybe you haven't gotten your flowers, and maybe you feel like nobody was appreciative of the things you were saying. But you need to come out and you need to talk about these stories. So I decided, you know what, let me tackle this. And it's interesting that as soon as I started talking about the TD Jakes situation, people are very interested in what I have to say. And it kind of motivated me. And being that everybody is talking about their story, being that everybody is coming out and sharing what they've been through, I decided, you know what, I think that it's appropriate to talk about surviving these spiritual leaders, because these are the people that most of you are still looking up to and may still be following. So when it comes to TD Jakes, he was heavily adopted into the prosperity gospel. He had books, he had so many lessons. He's been on the TBN network begging for money. And I would watch these networks. I mean, back in the day, the prosperity gospel was very, very enticing. It was something that we looked forward to because we were poor. And to hear a pastor or a preacher talk about God want you to be successful, God want you to be prosperous, it was a breath of fresh air. It was something we wanted to hear. And again, back then I was ignorant of the Bible. I was ignorant of the truth. I was ignorant of the scriptures because I didn't read it. We believed anything these pastors said. And even most of you right now, you believe what these pastors say, to the point where nobody could tell you nothing. I could tell you, hey, TD Snakes is a false prophet. You'll tell me I'm a hater. And this will be the typical response. I mean, I'm getting that even till this day. People come in my topics and they'll say, well, how do you know he did that? And I don't see him doing that. Or he didn't say this, because people are blind. They don't know how to comprehend when something is right before them. And this is what I had to deal with back in the day. It was very stressful, ladies and gentlemen, to get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, comments. I'm talking about thousands of comments, and people sending you messages every day questioning you on what you're saying when the pastor is clearly leading everybody astray. And it's a very stressful job. I can't lie to you. Like, really, trying to teach and lead people to the Messiah is a very stressful job. So when you look at people like TD Snakes, you have to ask yourself the question, how could this guy be a minister from God and he's loved by the world, when the Bible clearly says that ye are not of the world, that if you were of the world would love their own. The world would love their own, ladies and gentlemen. But this guy, he's featured on all of the top broadcasts. He sits before presidents. He sits before actors. He's on various podcasts and shows. This clearly is a problem. Do you understand me? If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. The Messiah said this. So how is it that TD Snakes is loved by the world, and even ungodly people embrace him? That's not the Messiah. That's not the way of the Messiah. The world is supposed to hate you when you're really following God. So how is it that they love him? These are the type of things that really opened my eyes to the fact that I was following false teachers back in the day. And again, throughout this series, I'm going to do them in short videos so that you're able to digest the information. I'm going to be talking about different preachers to kind of hopefully make you realize the trauma that a lot of people may be facing, a lot of the issues many of you might be going through. But TD Jakes literally nearly ruined my life, because I was so heavily invested in the prosperity gospel that There were key preachers that I would watch all the time. And one of them was TD Snakes. One of them was TD Snakes. He was very convincing. You could say you got TD Snakes, you got Creflo Dollar. Another one is, what's that other guy? Dr. Leroy Thompson, Kenneth Copeland. I mean, the list goes on and on. There was multiple prosperity teachers that I would listen to religiously. I'm talking about all the time, every time. I would buy their tapes. I would do anything that these guys say based on what they believe the Bible said we should do. And one of the things that they taught is to sow your seed to believe God for a blessing. This is one of the most dangerous teachings of the religion of Christianity, primarily of the prosperity gospel, where they teach you to sow a seed to believe God. In other words, if you have a need, sow a seed. If you are lacking money, the best thing to do is give it to God because God wants to multiply it. This is something many people have been victimized by within the church. And we don't speak about it because most of us don't have microphones like I do. Fortunately for me, I had enough courage to come on YouTube in 2006 and begin to voice my thoughts about this for many years on up to about 2012. And then I moved on to other topics and other different issues. But again, TD Jakes was on the TBN network. There used to be this particular broadcast where they would come on doing some sort of, I'm not sure if it's like a fundraiser or something, where they would literally just keep asking for money. And I would watch these broadcasts and it stimulated your mind to want to give to these ministries and to these broadcasts because they would really make you feel that if you just sow that seed, if you just step out in faith, that God would return a blessing. And I would step out in faith because I believe that these are men of God. They're not going to lie to us. They're not trying to mislead us. They're all affiliated with one another. And being that I'm following Creflo Dollar anyway back in the days when I was younger, why would TD Jakes be misleading me? And especially all the other TBN people. Surely they have money. They're blessed. They're living great. God must be blessing them, right? Well, that's where we've been lied to because it's not God that's blessing them. It's the devil. It's the devil who is blessing them as well as our own ignorance. We made these preachers rich. We made these preachers successful through our ignorance of the Bible because we don't read the Bible. Instead, we've all been deceived. And this is one of the major problems that many of you may be facing in today's day is that you're ashamed of the fact that you've been deceived. And for some of you, you remain deceived. It's like the truth is right in your face, but you don't want to listen to it because in your mind, he's being blessed. He got money. He lives in a mansion. He drives Rolls Royce and Bentleys and nice cars. So surely God is blessing them. No, people. Just because a person have money does not mean they're blessed. Just because a person live in a mansion does not mean they're blessed. You cannot judge material items and consider someone to be blessed. Even the scripture says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So you can have the whole world and lose your soul. Do you understand that? So we have to be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why TD Jakes nearly ruined my life is that I was sowing money, believing that God was going to give me a return. And every time I did this, nothing was happening. And I kept doing it more because I felt that I wasn't doing it enough. Because they would tell you if it's not working, it's because you're not really consistent with it. You got to keep on doing it. You got to keep on keeping on. You can't give up, cave in, and quit. And I would keep donating, keep giving money, keep sowing seeds. Anytime they had a broadcast, I would get that envelope, I would write it out, and I would just send that money in because I really believed that this was of God. And the whole time, I was getting scammed. And because of that, I can honestly say I was victimized by the church, taken advantage of by the church. And many of you out there are in that same boat right now. And you find it difficult to talk about these issues because, again, You don't want to talk about the man of God because, again, in the church, people feel it's something you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to talk about a pastor. You're not supposed to do this and you're not supposed to do that. When these are the people that are actually taking advantage of us. These guys are 501c3 churches, yet they're prospering, tax exemption, and the world love them. There's no way these people are from God. So we have to do better as a nation of people, and we have to consider this truth. So I'm going to come back with another part. We're going to continue this conversation because I want to keep the videos short, right to the point, and then come back with another part. That way we can break these things down. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, Ringo TV Reactions. We will catch you in the next video as we will go into part 2 of surviving TD Jakes, how he nearly ruined my life. Spiritual victim tells his story. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for part 2 as we continue this conversation. I'm out of here. Peace.
If you like our content, consider supporting via Cash App at $Ringo TV Raw. Become a patron on patreon.com for exclusive video content not shown on YouTube. You could also support through PayPal at paypal.me/Ringo TV Raw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified of new content. Follow me on Instagram at Ringo TV Raw.
This is Ringo TV Reactions, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth 100% raw and uncut. I'm out. Peace.